you probably saw my thumbnail and was like, what in the world is this girl talking about? I got a new perspective on purpose through cicadas. Let me explain. So I live in South Carolina, and this year we experienced the emergence of one of the species. From what I did research on, two species came out in certain regions of the United States this year, but we only got one species that came out this year. I am scared of bugs. Like, I hate bugs. I don't do any kind of bugs. There's no nice bugs, there's no cute bugs. They bugs is bugs. Okay, so let's get that clear. And these bugs are huge and they got red eyes. They are very scary bugs, okay? I remember the first time I ever witnessed them, we were still living in Baltimore. I was like 7 or 8 years old. This was back in the 80s. And I was so terrified that I almost failed school because I was that scared to go to school because those bugs were terrifying to me. And seeing them as an adult, really, it is not that much difference. I went to work and everything, but I'm gonna tell you, it's one of those things where, look, I did not want to go outside if I didn't have to go outside. Like, I was planning my strategy every time I left the house. Like, I get all my bags, I get all my book bag, I get everything I need, and I make a run for it to the car. And then at the end of the day, I do the same thing, and I make a run for it to get in the house. So it was like, it was like this whole complete strategy, going to the store, everything. So one morning, I was talking to my husband, and I was like, what are these bugs' purpose? Like, what do they do for us, you know? And so, me being the nerd that I am, I went on a whole rabbit hole of finding out what is it about these cicadas. So there are different species. You got a 13-year species and you got a 17-year species. And this spring was the first time in over 200 years that both species came out at the exact same time. So this hadn't happened since like the 1800s. I wanted to know what their purpose was. So I went on a rabbit hole of research to find out, okay, what are their purpose? So they live in the ground as nymphs, and they attach themselves to the roots of the trees in the ground, and they feed off the sap of the tree. So they help trees grow. It's like, okay. When they come out, when they emerge all at one time, they are here to mate and start their life cycle back over again. So they spend the majority of their life underground. And then when they come up, they got like 4 to 6 weeks to do what they were supposed to do, meaning, you know, do their little mating call. When you hear all that noise and all that kind of stuff, like here in South Carolina, it was so loud that people were calling the police because they didn't know what was going on. They thought something was coming. So it's up to the males to make the noise so the females can figure out which one of these males they want to get with, right? And after they mate and the female lays her eggs in the trees and they die, okay? They die. And then once the young is left behind, they go down into the ground. After about 6 to 10 weeks of them being in the trees, they're gonna go down into the ground, and that's where they're gonna stay at until the next emergence. Carcasses, the big bugs that we see that is dead and left behind, that's gonna help fertilize the ground, give the ground the nutrients that it needs for your lawn, and it's like a natural fertilizer, okay? But the way God has made it that they all come out in one big herd of them, like one big swarm of them, is to protect them from their predators. Now, some of them are going to get ate. Okay, some of them are going to get ate by birds, lizards, all type of animals that eat insects. Okay, if an animal eat insects, that they like, hey, we got a whole buffet. Okay, we got a whole big buffet. But because there's so many of them that come up at one time, when they shed their exoskeleton and go through that whole transformation, right, to become the cicada. Because when they first come out, you see those little exoskeleton things left behind. They come out all albino, white looking, and then they, as they growing, they get their color and become the big bugs that we see with the red eyes, right? And because they all come out at one time, the way God got it set up, when they come out at one time, some of them are going to get ate, but they're not going to all get ate up at one time because it's too many, right? It's too many of them at one time. So that's the way of God protecting them, right? That's their protection. Some people get them confused with locusts, but they're not locusts. Locusts eat up vegetation and all that stuff. Cicadas don't. Some gross people will say, oh, they're a great source of protein. I'm not eating no cicada. No, I have to get my protein from something else. But that's what they're said for. Okay, just like shrimp. All right, shrimps are the insects of the sea, and so we get these bugs up, that come out, and some people look at them as delicacies, but that's not what this video is about. But what was the lesson that I learned about purpose through those little creepy little bugs? Say if you knew when you were born, you know, you in your mother's room, you're gonna stay in your mother's room for 40 weeks. And in those 40 weeks, you are given a purpose. You come to this earth for a purpose, right? And say if you come to this earth and you got one job, and your one job is to mate, to carry on your legacy, and then you die. And your body is gonna live and regrow vegetation and do all those type of things, fertilizer. You're gonna be food for other animals and all that stuff, but that's your purpose. And you're gonna continue your legacy, and y'all gonna just do this lifespan over and over again. And when you emerge from your mother's womb, you are told that you only got 4 to 6 weeks to fulfill your purpose. If you knew that, how would you operate if you knew that you only got 4 to 6 weeks to fulfill your purpose? And that made me look at life differently just from the cicada perspective, because when we are born, we have to grow. We don't grow and become mature adults as quick as a bug does, but we grow and we have so many years, and we don't know how many years we got. Some of us don't even make it to be an adult, okay? Some of us don't even make it to be past a toddler. So all of us have different lifespans, and nobody knows when they're going to leave here. Nobody knows. But can you imagine if you did know that you had a purpose and you had to fulfill that purpose in a short amount of time? And if you procrastinate, those are the bugs that's going to get ate. Those are the bugs that are going to get squashed by somebody, somebody like me that's scared of them. I'm going to try to kill one. So if you do everything but your purpose in life, that's when you're wasting time. And that's when you might not get the opportunity to fulfill your purpose because you got thrown off the track of your purpose. So I learned a valuable lesson about purpose is we got to get in a hurry to fulfill our purpose because we don't know when that time is going to be up. If you knew that your time is short, if you actually knew that, hey, I'm going to leave here in 4 to 6 weeks, so I got to get this thing done, how would you operate? Leave me a comment and let me know, how would you operate knowing that that thing that you've been putting on the back burner, that you've been nagging you to do it? That could be write a book, that could be write songs, do your art, get out there and do whatever it is that God has placed on your heart to do creatively, for work or whatever it is that's been placed on your heart, and you've been taking your time about doing it. There's different things that keep people from doing their purpose. Some people don't fulfill their purpose because they don't believe in themselves, so that's self-doubt. Some people don't think that they have the authority to talk about a certain subject because they don't have a degree or certificate or whatever it is, not realizing that life's experience is the only degree and certificate you need, because if you've been through a thing and got out of a thing, then hey, your story is needed, right? But it's those type of things that we procrastinate on because we don't think about the time that we have. We think we got all the time in the world to fulfill our purpose, and we don't. Soon as we understand as a kid what it is that we like to do, it's up to us to get to doing it, and don't allow anybody to talk us out of it, including ourselves. But a lot of us, like a big majority of us, are not living in our purpose and not realizing that we don't have much time to fulfill that purpose. It reminds me of the parable of talents in the Bible, where the Lord, little L, gave 3 servants talents, right? Y'all probably didn't read it before. And told them to do something with those talents. I'm going to be gone for a little while, and when I come back, let me see what you got, right? And so you know the story. If you don't, I can't tell you what Bible verse it is, but it just came to my mind just to talk about it. But you was given a certain amount of talents. Some of us have been given more talent than others. But if we don't use those talents, we lose them. In the Bible, it called the servants a lazy, slothful servant. And the one talent that he did have and didn't use it, he buried that one talent in the sand. He gave that one talent to the one that had 10, right? Because he was a good stewardess of the 10. So I'm going to give you the one, because the one that got the one talent, he's not a good stewardess of it. He did not fulfill his purpose. I gave him one job. So they're just like the cicadas to me. They got one job when they come up out the ground. They come out the ground to mate, to carry on their legacy. We're supposed to build a legacy while we're here for our young, right? And then we supposed to leave a legacy. So when the cicadas die, they leave a legacy because they fertilize in the ground. They prune the trees when they're here, like certain trees they prune to help with the irrigation, water flow in the ground. They got so many different purposes. And we do too. But a lot of times, we don't fulfill our purposes for whatever reason. So I want you to look at it from that perspective. Say if you knew when your time was going to be up and you knew you didn't have that much time, what are you going to do? And what are you going to do different? We're in June. Today is the first day of June. So what are you going to do? We are already half the year of 2024. It is time to get serious. It is time to get on our job of purpose. I know what my purpose is. My purpose is to teach financial education. My purpose is to help as many people as I can, because I fell forward in my financial journey ever since I was 18. And when I learned the lesson, it's time for me to teach others. So that's my superpower. That's what God gave me. I don't have no certification in it and none of that jazz. I just got life experience. But because it was placed on my heart, that's what I do here on Starr Knows Credit on this channel. So that's my purpose. What is your purpose? And are you going to go after it, or are you going to be ate up by predators? Are you going to be squashed by people that are scared of you? Are you going to allow all those things to keep you from your goals? That's the question, and that's the lesson that I learned through cicadas. If you know the time is short, and we know all of our time is short, time is our greatest asset, because once it's gone, you can't get it back. It's no do-overs. So what are you going to do different now after hearing this story? What are you going to do different? Leave me a comment. I love you guys for real. Peace out. I got to do my walk.